Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely fantastic day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. In, I guess, maybe heartwarming in some sort of way news, the Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan, along with their partner BitDeer, that is Bitcoin without the coin and the word deer, Technologies Group, has reportedly kickstarted plans to develop a 600 megawatt cryptocurrency mining farm. We have heard of this before, not directly from Bhutan, but there are other countries around the world who are already doing so. I'm trying to find like a nice phrase. I've said this time and time again. That's the nicest way of me being able to say it. We have entered the future. I don't know if you've noticed that. I'm not sure if you see the devices and things that you have around you, but even more so the future of cryptocurrencies. We have heard at least a dozen times over the course of the last 5 years alone that there are now countries who are mining cryptocurrencies, custodying cryptocurrencies. For those of you who have forgotten, there's also a number of countries who are already using cryptocurrencies as a form of payment. We also had news a while ago that there were several countries, and even more so, we can even like whittle it down to cities who were also buying up Bitcoin as well for their reserves or for whatever the actual case in the future might be. The most popular ones being Miami. There are others, of course. And also, I believe it was Sao Paulo, who also mentioned a year ago that they were, I think, using a fraction of the city's reserves to also buy up Bitcoin too. And then on top of that, we've heard many times, once again, that there are a number of countries who are mining cryptocurrencies. I can only assume, from a logical standpoint, that a lot of this news does not become as popular as I would assume that it would because of prices, because of maybe where things are currently in the world. All it takes is one country, one domino to kind of fall for everyone else to begin doing the exact same thing. So when we hear that there are now over a dozen countries who are actively mining crypto, don't forget the countries in Southeast Asia as well, who announced that they would only be allowing certain cryptocurrencies within their borders. They made their own, their central banks and the government actually made their own cryptocurrency exchanges, and they also announced that they were making some kind of a cryptocurrency mining factory. I wish that news like this became more popular, because when you put it completely into context, it becomes we've come a very long way. Cryptocurrencies are definitely here to stay. But I think people hear things like this and they go, okay, that's cool. Well, why isn't Bitcoin's price moving up? That's the general sentiment, at least. Bitcoin mining in the kingdom is expected to equip citizens to participate in the modern global economy from within Bhutan. The Southeast Asian, Kingdom of Bhutan has reportedly set in motion a plan to develop a 600 megawatt Bitcoin mining farm with the company known as BitDeer Technologies Group. According to Nikkei Asia, BitDeer, which is tasked with raising $500 million in capital from investors, has already confirmed the commencement of the capital raising drive. Ujwal Deep Dahal, the CEO of Druk Holdings and Investments, has been quoted in the report explaining why Bhutan is suitable for Bitcoin mining. They said, and I quote, "While Bhutan faces geographical constraints and connectivity challenges, being landlocked and mountainous, it's green and relatively cheaper. Power provides an opportunity to invest in digital assets to build a more connected and sustainable economy," end quote. Basically, they found cheap electricity. They told the government that they could both benefit. And then, that's how you, stretching. Oh my gosh, my back. And that's how you basically put the entire thing together. So This is very good news. Will it make the most popular news story out there? No, absolutely not. I'm sure most people couldn't even find Bhutan on a map if they wanted to. But the thing to kind of keep all together or look at, seeing the forest for the trees, is actually understanding that the cryptocurrency space has grown so much that we actively now have countries, that's with an S, multiple S's, who are announcing that they're into crypto, that they're mining crypto, that they're buying crypto, that they're holding crypto, that they are in the economy that we are also in. And I just hope that that eventually ends up meaning something to people who are within the cryptocurrency space, because it's these moments in the future that we will look back on and go, we could already tell back then that we already won. That's the Bhutan news. And yeah, let's move on. So you know how I just told you that another country has openly announced that they're going to be mining Bitcoin, and this is basically going to be another country who, if the entire cryptocurrency experiment ends up, working out, they're going to be one of the wealthiest countries on the planet. We can only assume that they are going to mine more than one Bitcoin, logically. They also announced that they're getting their citizens into it. Really amazing, really cool, connected thing. However, in the good old cryptocurrency space, that's not how news actually works out. So in one of the most popular news stories of the day, the thing that completely blew the other news story that we just had out of the water, New York headquartered crypto exchange Gemini has decided to quit the Netherlands, following in the footsteps of Binance, who announced the same exact thing a couple of months ago. The company cites its inability to meet regulators' requirements, but says it intends to return to the Dutch market at some point in the future. In a letter to their Dutch users, Gemini asked them to either withdraw their assets or transfer them to another wallet address. That basically sounds like withdrawing them, because you wouldn't swap it to another wallet address on the Gemini website, as the platform will be suspending their operations in the Netherlands. They said due to requirements imposed by Die Nederlandse Bank, DNB, on crypto exchanges, and they will be closing by the 17th of November, the letter has stated, and I quote, "We kindly ask you to proceed in emptying your Gemini account, ensuring that you no longer have a balance on your account as of the 17th of November 2023. Gemini has suggested that users transfer their fund to the local crypto exchange Bitvavo, which is registered with the DNB. Launched in 2018, Amsterdam-based Bitvavo is a member of the Dutch Association of Bitcoin Companies." I would have assumed so. They probably would not be telling people to transfer their money to a crypto exchange that no one has ever heard of and is not regulated. Just absolute logic. Gemini intends to return to the Dutch market after getting its business ready to be fully compliant with the new rules on crypto assets, as set out under the Markets and Crypto Assets Regulation MiCA rules. Which one do you think should have been larger news? The fact that another country is going to be mining Bitcoin, essentially if this country mines hundreds of Bitcoin, they will become wealthier than they currently are now. And we will also see in the future that other people will go, oh, snaps, I could have had a whole Bitcoin, but that country did it before me, therefore lessening the amount of Bitcoin out there. Or, now hear me out here, or news that Gemini was working in the Netherlands. They're currently not working in the Netherlands. They're stopping it on the 17th of November, but they said, yeah, we just got to get our paperwork back in order, and then we'll be able to work back in the Netherlands again. Which one was more popular? If you guess the news that makes no sense, what was that? What was that on the screen? Okay, anyway, yeah, you're completely correct. Gemini exits the Dutch market amid regulatory constraints. Gemini to stop offering services within the Netherlands. Is it also here as well? Yep. Gemini announced that it is temporarily suspending its Dutch operations, citing compliance with the legislation. Now, I found this on about 18 different platforms. This news that Gemini was doing this. One, I was unaware that Gemini had done anything else except for being in New York, and I think also Ireland as well, but that's another topic entirely. Two, the paperwork that they thought that they had was not the paperwork that they thought that they should have thought that they had, but now they need other paperwork that they didn't have before that they think that they need. And they'll be coming back around that Dutch mountain because that's how paperwork works. Very, very weird space. I think many books and documentaries will be made about this space, or rather, I hope they do it just because of how weird a lot of the news is. So yeah, if you couldn't believe it before, believe it now, buddy boy. The most popular news story of the day was that Gemini is leaving, I almost said Dutchland, the Netherlands, and will be back at some point. Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe that. That's, whoa, what crazy and incredible news. Okie dokie. All right. Let's move on. In news that I would have assumed would have been more popular, but nope, Gemini took that one. Kraken, the cryptocurrency exchange, apparently they've been around for 12 years, fantastic, will reportedly be expanding their horizons and begin offering stock exchange trading services for the first time on their platform. The move is part of Kraken's response to the slump in interest in cryptocurrencies brought on by the ongoing bear market. According to the confidential source, who spoke to Bloomberg, the exchange is also working on its prime brokerage services and will launch a qualified custodian service aimed at institutional investors as well. When released, the custodian service will be run separately from the exchange to avoid the risk of commingling funds. Kraken is currently waiting for approval from the state of Wyoming to launch. You need Wyoming's I have mini headache. You need Wyoming's approval to be able to launch an app that is then going to be used across the US and other places around the world, but then you'll still have to actively also get registered in the other states as well to be able to use this app. So cool. I had assumed that this would have been more popular simply because of Robinhood. For those of you who don't know, it's not the man in tights who takes from the poor and gives to the rich, or takes from the animals, whatever Robinhood actually does. No, it's the app. That app is incredibly popular because they do stocks and crypto, and everyone pretends like Robinhood is the greatest thing in the entire world. Remember when we used to get news that, hey, Robinhood added this coin and then that coin would go up by like 28% because, Robinhood men in tights? However, now it's Kraken who's announcing that they're going to be doing this. I'm kind of shocked that Coinbase hasn't already done this. Coinbase seems like the perfect candidate to have expanded their activities in the wake of the whole cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency market is very weird. The cryptocurrency market is insanely weird. I know that we are like other markets, cyclical, but the amount of downtrend and how do I say this? So you know how when cryptocurrency prices are up, we actively see the activity, how many people are buying and accumulating and yada yada, whatever, trading on a daily basis. But then when the market goes down and prices are low, the activity wanes a bit, but we also still hear continuously that there are countries mining, there are institutions buying, there are BlackRock's trying to get ETFs. There are MicroStrategies buying tens of thousands of Bitcoin all the time. So the activity still remains there, but our downtrends are so much more intense than the stock market. I wonder if that's ever going to end. Because once again, it says Kraken is doing this because the cryptocurrency market is down, so they're looking for another revenue stream. But it's weird that our market is really hot for a good year and a half or 2 years, and then everyone just kind of doesn't pay attention as the rich people are buying up all the... You get what I'm saying? It's such a really weird, market. So cool. Kraken's going to be launching a stock trading service sometime next year. I hope it works out for them. A lot of other companies have tried doing this before, not even just within the cryptocurrency space. It's a very competitive market. You can't simply announce that you're going to allow people to like start trading stocks and stuff like that. I wonder if it'll actually catch on, because most people usually only affiliate Kraken with crypto. Who knows? Who knows exactly what's going to go on? So cool. Wonderful. Fantastic. I hope they get their paperwork from Wyoming. The world is weird. That's the Kraken is launching a stock trading service sometime in 2024. Also weird timing, especially if they like launch it in like April when the halving happens. And yeah, let's move on. I'm going to try. What the fudge is that? I'm going to try not to call this cringe, but it's more of a, okay, cool. Where are the words? In a filing made on Friday, Invesco, that is invest without the T and co, a fund group that manages nearly $1.6 trillion in assets, has announced that they're moving further into the cryptocurrency space. Recently, the Invesco Galaxy Ethereum ETF's purpose was made public. Galaxy Digital Funds will function as the execution agent and manage the sale of Ether in the strategic move. Notably, this ETF will hold Ether directly, setting it apart from several other Ether futures, ETFs, that have already debuted. So there's not a lot to unpack, but it's like the same song and dance over again. So the SEC still has, at the time of me making this video, I don't know what's happening in the future. I'm not there yet. At the time of me making this video, the US SEC has still not approved a physical Bitcoin ETF. On the other side of it, a lot of other companies have announced that they're trying to launch physical Ethereum ETFs. We had a whole bunch of them in the summertime who announced that they were going to be putting in applications for all of these things. And then we had news about 5 weeks ago, who cares, that there were a number of companies who were all trying to get a Ethereum futures ETF launched. Yeah, that was it. But the issue is that none of these would be holding actual Ether. Same exact thing for Bitcoin futures. They would simply be holding pieces of funds that were dealing in Ethereum futures and then bundling them up into an ETF to say basically that they had an Ethereum ETF, but it's not an Ethereum ETF in the way they were thinking about it. Because it's simply them denominating it in US dollars and bundling everything together into an actual fund. On top of that, the Ethereum futures ETFs that recently launched like a week ago, whatever, no one's actually using them. Like, I think on day one, there was a total of like, I think $3 million in actual like liquidity flowing through them, which is terrible because multiple of them were happening at the exact same time. Because it's not something that people actually want. The things that the SEC continues to let through are things that people aren't really asking for. So we saw that before, even years ago with Bitcoin futures. Bitcoin futures in the very beginning were like, wee, and everyone was using them. Or rather, a lot of institutions were buying into them. But then at some point, like, the interest kind of waned because people are interested in Bitcoin and not a fund that is holding a paper version of Bitcoin that is then being traded on a stock exchange that then ends up being settled in US dollars. So if during that day Bitcoin's price has gone up and you got your US dollars, well, guess what? You actually lost out because you should have been holding the actual physical Bitcoin. That leads us to what we're currently seeing on the screen right now, in that Invesco is trying to no longer, I assume they're still trying to get their Ether futures ETF through, but now they're also trying to get a physical Ethereum ETF, which people are assuming that the US SEC might feel more comfortable with, as they still not have given a physical, I'm tired of talking, a physical Bitcoin ETF. So this is once again where we kind of are. Invesco and Mike Novogratz's Galaxy Digital have submitted an application for an Ethereum ETH spot exchange traded fund ETF, following their June application for a similar Bitcoin product as well. According to the company's S1 registration statement, the Invesco Galaxy Ethereum ETF will reflect the performance of the spot price of Ether by storing units of the cryptocurrency with an unnamed custodian. They should know better than that. That's really bad. Over the summer, I mean, it's abundantly, like, if I know this and I'm not filing an ETF, they should know a lot better. Unnamed custodians always fail. So the US SEC wants to know everything. They want to know who's custodying, who is the third party, who is sending the funds, who's storing the funds. They want to know everything. This is why it made such a bit of a hubbub around early summer, maybe late spring, who knows, when we heard that Coinbase was basically going to be the custody solution that even BlackRock was trying to use. Which, you know, they all these companies came forward and said we have to, or we are using, not that we have to. We all are using Coinbase, and everyone was like, oh, snaps, Coinbase is being used by BlackRock. So having an unnamed custodian is already a strike against them, and it's not going to happen. While Invesco is the trust sponsor, Galaxy Digital is its execution agent. That sounds intense. Which will sell ETH to cover the trust expenses. This is the fourth Ethereum spot ETF application to arrive at the SEC in recent weeks, following similar filings from ARK Invest, 21 Shares, Van Eck, and Hashdex. The timing of these proposals is crucially important. Grayscale Investments recently celebrated a landmark court victory against the US SEC, but that also might lead to nothing because the US SEC these people are crazy. Grayscale won a lawsuit against the US SEC. And then the next day, the US SEC came forward and they literally said, we don't care. They said, we don't care what the judge says. We're still going to follow our things. So the odds of Grayscale at the time of me making this video, the odds of Grayscale getting their Grayscale trust converted into a Bitcoin ETF are probably slim to none. So cool. Invesco, who I think we first heard about like a month ago. I don't remember saying that word that often, but I remember like saying that they don't have a T in their name, which I wonder, like, what were they talking about at the table? Like, who decided to not have a T in the name of the company? Are now trying to get a spot Ethereum ETF. I assume we will hear more. It's October, November, December, January. We'll probably hear more about this around February, which is normally around the time when the US SEC says, oh, we have been looking at the paperwork. Can we have a little bit more time? Yes, we will inform you in April or May. And then around April or May, we're going to hear that they rejected all of them. And then the market's going to go down because everyone's going to be like, what? They rejected it again for the 12th year in a row? I'm so confused. Cool. Fantastic. Does anyone know how much it costs to like file an Ethereum ETF? I'm asking from like a logical standpoint because I think at this point, these companies are probably spending a lot of money just to get a rejection. It doesn't really seem to be worth it. I definitely don't assume that it's free because the SEC is full of greedy goblins. So I assume it costs a lot of money. That's the Invesco is trying to get a spot Ethereum ETF launched within the US of A. GOODLUCK. And yeah, let's move on. Also in like popular news, is everyone okay? Like, why does news like this become really popular? Cryptocurrency exchange Kraken has announced a new achievement in implementing their strategy to pursue expansion in Europe. That's a very intense sentence, whoever wrote that. The US trading platform for digital assets said that they have received regulatory approval from the monetary authorities of Ireland and Spain, two of the EU nations, weird sentence, with relatively clear rules for the industry. Relatively clear rules. That's a great sentence. I mean, they have like kind of okay clear rules when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Digital asset exchange Kraken has obtained authorization from the Central Bank of Ireland as an e-money institution, EMI, and has registered with the Bank of Spain as a virtual asset service provider, or a VASP. In a press release on Tuesday, the San Francisco-based company emphasized that the regulatory approvals highlight their commitment to growing its business in Europe. I would assume so. You want to continue making money. The licensed subsidiary, the exchange, will be able to offer European banks in order to expand their Euro fiat services for clients in the EU, with a form of growth for the region, yada, 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 yada. Amazing. Maybe I'm not in the same place as everyone else, but not the most exciting news. But for some reason, this ended up making really popular news within the cryptocurrency space. I never knew how enthusiastic people were about regulations and getting paperwork. In that, the news that Kraken now has paperwork to work in Spain and in Ireland, that was popular. News that Gemini lost their paperwork for the Netherlands, also popular. So I guess we can conclude that people in the cryptocurrency space no longer care about decentralization and care about paperwork being signed by companies. Amazing, fantastic. I'm glad for Kraken that they're at least like trying to expand, because other companies do not and have not been doing anything over the course of the last couple of years. So cool. Yeah. Whoa. My gosh, that news was crazy. What a whirlwind, right? Like, I'm sitting here like lightheaded. I'm like, they got paperwork in 2 places at once. Wow. That's gonna be a thing for them. That's the Kraken news. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. In news that I think was maybe supposed to shock and surprise us, Texas is now the #1 U.S. state for Bitcoin mining, dwarfing other rivals by hosting a whopping 28.5% of the U.S.'s hash rate for Bitcoin. The estimate comes from Foundry, the world's largest Bitcoin mining pool, which took information, squeezed it all together, and published data directly from the users back in 2021. The firm estimated that Texas had roughly around an 8.4% share that has now skyrocketed to 28%. Very different numbers. While still comparatively high, it surpassed New York, which had 9.5%, and Georgia. Georgia had 34%. Apparently, New York has fallen to 8.8%, and Georgia has fallen to 9.6% from 34%. I assume the drop in New York had to do with the mining moratorium that we heard about. It's been like 2 years ago now, where basically the state of New York was like, hey, the air is really dirty. Can you guys like take a little break from mining cryptocurrencies for like a little while? Remember that day? And everyone flipped. If you weren't here, people lost it. You would have thought that Gary Gensler had become Godzilla and was eating blockchains. Everyone was like, I can't believe it. And I'm like, the thing was that companies who were already mining, they were allowed to continue. Anyone else who was like in the back of the line, who was just trying to start, they were like, can you please just go somewhere else? Like, we're trying to save our energy grid. People lost it. Georgia falling from 34% to 9%? I wonder what happened there. Georgia's steep drop was partially due to a large mining company. Larger. Okay. From a 2021 sample. Okay. That's then the numbers aren't correct. So apparently there's a large company who decided not to give their numbers, and that's why the drop happened so much. So that means that Georgia actually is more than 9.6. It's what? But was also partially driven by growth in Texas. Meanwhile, New York's mining growth has been stagnant since a memorandum against fossil fuel-powered mining companies took effect last year. Other states like Nebraska, North Carolina, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Washington also experienced major drops as well. Nebraska, really? Washington I can kind of see because I think they have a lot of hydropower. Oklahoma as well. I wouldn't expect Nebraska. I would assume North Carolina, Kentucky, Texas, South Carolina as well, because, you know, it's sunny. Florida, Georgia, solar power. On Texas's part, the state has made mining attractive through government incentives designed to encourage people who are mining to help stabilize. Government incentives designed to encourage people who are mining to help stabilize the electricity grid. I believe Texas is the only state in America that has their own electricity grid. I don't know. It's probably not a good idea to then have everyone rushing to Texas, because remember what happened like a couple years ago when when the grid wasn't working out too well and people had problems. Whoa, Texas, that's crazy. That's absolutely amazing. It's nice to see that it's not just in Texas. As you know, decentralization means not just in one place. You should be having it all over the place. So it's good to see that there are multiple states who are doing it. I would love if it was like 2% per state, but of course that's never going to actually happen. Like properly decentralized mining across the entirety of the US, but sure. Also popular news, maybe the person who wrote it and the people who got the news all live in Texas and they think it's absolutely incredible. I hope that people around the US continue to mine and create new mining operations so that we can actually have more decentralization, because part of the issue was years ago was that all of it was majority of the Bitcoin mining was just happening within China. So it's good to see that it's expanding other places. I would love to get some like numbers for Mexico, numbers for Canada, huge amount of hydroelectricity. I'd love to get some like, are people, I assume, I was going to ask, are people mining Bitcoin in Africa? And I was like, idiot. Like I assume that they are. It's just a matter of we don't really get that amount of news. I mean, let's be real here. The amount of sun, I feel like they could be like an actual champion within the cryptocurrency like mining space. Cool. Fantastic. Texas is now the #1 spot in the US to mine crypto. For some reason, that one company didn't give the numbers for Georgia. So I wonder what the actual real numbers are. Fantasticals. I do hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all, every single one of you, once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.